So this is going to be um, a somewhat special installment. So for all the new listeners, I am pending a divorce currently. As a matter of fact, this is pre-recorded ahead of said divorce. By the time you hear this, it would have been post-divorce. Um, so I went ahead to take it upon myself to go ahead and begin two things. One, it's been a while since I made a video currently on my channel, that is. Current date is currently March 1st, 2024. So I actually haven't posted a video on my YouTube for a while. I've been very busy. I've been in and out of the hospital, in and out of specialist office. In a way, it's been good and it's been kind of bad, because the bad news is obviously I've been in and out of the hospital dealing with various health problems and whatnot that seem to have just slammed upon me on 30 going on 31. Some of the guys I work with kind of joke about how old I am, really, because it's like some of the problems I'm having are like old man problems and shit like that. And in a way, the good thing about it is right now I'm actually on the tail end of all that. So I've actually been finally feeling like myself. Um, I think I tried to record some videos. I might not have posted them. Um, I know I have. I know I've recorded quite a few videos that I haven't posted actually. In between now and then. But I was like, one of the things that kind of summarizes that period, starting in like October 2023, shortly after being separated and whatnot. One of the things that kind of hit me on that is like, for one, I had no regrets when it came to my relationship. That had nothing to do with my health issues. If anything, my health actually slightly improved before all this crap started happening. I lost about 20 pounds fat. Um, and I was actually transitioning to changing and shifting my diet, and then some unfortunate things happened, which I'm one of those people that doesn't really get sick like that. I'm not really in the hospital like that, to be honest. So I think it's like every kind of like the market crashes, like every 10 years, something happens to me and I have to go to the hospital, or something happens like that. But in between that period of time, I'm actually fairly healthy. Like right now, I'm hoping begins the next 10 years, hopefully longer than that, to be honest. But I'm finally starting to feel more like normal. I'm feeling like actually like roughly 90% of myself actually. Um, I've been weight trading, getting my weights back up. I'm probably about 70 to 80% there currently. My cardio, I ironically, despite the fact that I haven't really been able to do cardio since roughly last October. Right now it's March of next year, 2024. So I haven't actually been able to properly do cardio like I had been doing before. But the ironic thing is, because I had been so healthy between now and then, I had changed my diet, my regimens, and everything when it comes to supplements, probiotics, all that stuff. My cardio actually, like I've been actually doing quite a little bit of jogging here and there, running up steps. And the ironic thing is, I don't get gassed. So it's like I haven't been able to run like I now, mind you, I have to run like sprint run, to actually start my regimen again. But I hadn't actually jogged in those months. So October, November, December. So about 6 months, almost half a year. I haven't really jogged or done any of that. Actually, the recent thing I did was like a week or so ago. I did a bit of running, but I had always noticed like I can go up like two, three, four flights of steps and not get gassed. So I'm kind of interested to see like if I actually possibly improved. Of course, I have to get reacclimated when I train, but like, and currently it's still cold outside, but when it starts to get a little, I don't want to overstress my system with the cold air and all that stuff. So when it starts get warming up, I might implement some indoor cycling in between now and then. That's actually what I was about to start back in October before all this crap started happening. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into that. But the ironic thing is, I'm actually looking forward to seeing like if I actually possibly improve because of my regimen and everything I'm doing currently. So I might have actually improved in that regard. Another thing is I've been working on my speech. I've been trying to one relax my voice a bit. My natural voice is actually a little deeper than I talk normally. So I can actually get a bit deeper as I'm trying to relax my voice as I talk more. But sometimes when I talk to people, and it's loud, I heighten the pitch of my voice because it to make it not to yell, but to make it more audible for people. Because if it's too deep, then like they don't really hear it that well. And I'm imagine you've been doing that for decades, pretty much. So I'm kind of like relaxing my voice a little bit more, getting more of my deeper tone back. Um, Actually, there was one period of time where I relaxed it too much, and my voice was so deep. I was like, "Oh wow, I don't even sound like myself." But yeah. So I'm doing a lot of focus. So the good part about it is, I literally feel like a snake or something that has like molted its shell, and like I now have a fresh, new body and everything. That's literally what I feel like in a way. Like the old me is literally the old me. I feel like a Digimon or a Pokemon that literally just like shed my old self and evolved. So that's the good thing. So I've completely, I feel like I've literally completely changed, not just my outside, but my insides as well. So shout out to my gastroenterologist. So, yeah, a lot of that going on. Um, Good thing is, as of now, and like I said, it's March 1st, 2024. I've actually met my deductible for the year. That's how frequently I've been in and out and doing all this medical procedures and stuff. So yeah, shout out to me. I've actually met my medical deductible, so I no longer have to pay for all the medical care and treatments for the rest of 2024. So that's the that's one of the sly good things you can say, even though I've already spent thousands of dollars on healthcare between now and last year. But anywho, I'm gonna bounce back from that. I actually plan on. I have some financial goals. I actually plan on wiping that out this year, as well as some other things. But the additional thing that I was going to talk about was I'm actually going to start the journal entries. Um, so I now have open in front of me journal entry number one. Um, and I'm actually going to read that in the broadcast. But before I get to the journal entry, I'm probably going to end with that with some final remarks on that and everything. There's been some things I've been going through at work and whatnot. I haven't been able to drive properly since about January this year. So I did take a bit of a pay cut. Luckily, I had the resources to withstand that burden. But I'm actually planning on jumping right back into that. I believe next week I should be able to get cleared for that, and then I can go back to driving, and I can go back to implementing my financial goals and plans because I did take a pay cut. It's messing with the way I had things structured, so I'm having to kind of how can I say readjust, and go with the flow in a way. So luckily, I'm capable of doing that. I was in a position to be able to do that. Most people aren't, but I was able to withhold, you know, taking a damn near 50% pay cut in a way, and also some of the financial structures I'm currently in, and but I'm able to deal with it. I'm not stressed over or anything like that nature. So that's good. Um, Once again, once I get back to my cardio and everything, I feel like that'll be the last step into feeling normal 100%. I believe I'm currently at 90%. I believe once I get back into the cardio, I'll be 100%. So I'm rebuilding myself. So I will be better than I was um, prior, for sure. That's for sure. For one, I'm much more learned than I was. So that's for one. And also physically, I'm gonna also get back to probably now not necessarily my 5% body fat self when I was back in college. I might get down to like 10%. I'm gonna work towards that 10%. I've already shed a bunch of weight. I'm already starting to see, I'm getting a bit of my six pack back and all that stuff, all that good stuff. I've been retraining core and I'm actually feeling very good about that. So once I'm able to jump back into the gym and all that, I'm gonna do the boxing and the wrestling that I planned on doing. Learning grappling, proper technique with boxing, possibly even like get to the level where I can be like a, how can I say it, like a amateur boxer in a way. Like when I do something, I do it to, I push myself, towards excellence. So I know when I jump into those type of things, I'm gonna push myself. Hopefully not too much because I do have a tendency to do that sometimes. I can overdo things. I can push myself a little too hard. I've talked about how I burned myself out, I believe 2 years ago. Some of these injuries I'm actually dealing with currently, I pushed myself a little too hard. Um, but aside from that, I've learned how to, okay, you don't got to go too hard here. Now I'm not gonna let that make me too docile or too, impede my progress or anything like that. But I know like the importance of letting off a bit here and there, and then kind of continuing on after proper rest or whatever, maintenance, just like car maintenance. You can't full throttle your damn car engine 24/7. You got to let off the damn gas. Otherwise, you'll blow your damn engine eventually. So I've learned how to do that better than prior. So I'm confident in that. So I might talk about some of the issues I've been dealing in work in a broadcast on the YouTube. So I'm not going to dip into that too much, but there has been some a character that I've learned. It's because I've transitioned from in the truck to now in the office, which was actually something I'd already planned on doing. It's unfortunate the circumstances of it currently, but I've actually learned a lot more when it comes to the dispatching side of things on my job. So I'm learning every facet of my current job as I planned on doing, because I do plan on using this knowledge in the future as I develop my own warehouses and everything of that nature. So I'm doing exactly what I plan on doing. I'm actually even slightly benefiting. So even all these health issues and stuff I've been dealing with because I was pulled from the truck and put in the office, in a way, it kind of did accelerate that because I didn't technically plan on getting in the office currently just because of the financial situation. Like, I talked about the pay cut. I make more money in the truck than in the office. So I'm like, okay, yeah, that didn't work out, but I'm still making the most out of it. So there's that. And also one of the characters in the office that I did not know his character, now I do. I'm like, oh wow, you think you know some people? I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because I never really knew him like that. But I had been working with the guy for like the last 2 years, but just not in the office with him. So in a way, you kind of get a bit of someone's character. It's similar to like when someone tells you you don't know someone until you live with them. It's like that. It's like because prior I was, out in the truck doing my thing, and I come and see him every now and then because he's in the dispatch office and everything like that. He had known me as the hard worker that I am. He's seen my performance and all that, so he respected me in that nature, as like like anyone should. You know, I'd get out there, run the routes, do all the stuff. Bam, no complaining, no bullshit. It is what it is. And I didn't know him like that necessarily. I just knew him in a professional manner. Hey, what's up? He knew me in the professional manner. But as I got in the office and I worked up under him, then I started learning more. Now, mind you, it's not just me. And and I'm glad because I've been learning from the other people in the office as well. This very same guy. Now he's good at what he does, but he's very shifty, very slick. Which he's older, so just mind you how many years now. Now obviously he's been working at that place for maybe a decade or longer. So he's been there for a while. So he's got the seniority type thing going for him. So you can kind of imagine someone that knows all the shortcuts and whatnot in the mess in a job. So they know exactly how to cover their ass when they fuck up or something like that. Or how to erase data in a system to prevent people from like spying. Oh yeah, I'm talking about this shit goes deep with this guy. Like going in, changing shit in the computer systems and stuff like that. Like he knows back doors or some shit to alter and change shit in the system. It's yeah, it goes that deep. I might talk about that in the broadcast, but I'm not going to talk about that situation too much because I actually want to get into this journal entry. So I actually haven't read this journal entry since I've written it. Some of these other ones, I'm looking at the titles of them. I'm like, man, the next one is actually titled "Solo Tears." So I'm like, damn, what the fuck was that one about? But it is what it is. I'm gonna eventually get to it next, because it's number two. So number two will be titled "Solo Tears." But this current one is journal entry one. This is the first journal entry. Now this was during actually, huh? I don't know if that is the first journal entry. Oh wow. Yes, this is interesting. Oh Jesus, this is a big one. Yeah, so apparently there was a journal entry before the prior one that I was about to read. So sorry, I misspoke. So that journal entry, blow up is actually journal entry number two. Journal entry number three is actually solitary. So journal entry number one is titled Dream. So this journal entry was this journal entry is journal entry number one, titled Dream. It was written on Thursday, January 27th, 2022, approximately 2:35 p.m. And it goes as such. So this is the journal entry. I had a dream today. This is rare in recent years given my erratic sleep cycle. My dreams are far less frequent and vivid than they usually are. This dream was vivid enough to remind me of childhood. My dreams were much more vivid and frequent back then. Sometimes I daydream about going back in time, feel what it is like to live somewhat carefree from the troubles of society, shielded by adults and their efforts. I wish for this. I dream for this. I do not regret the choices I have made to this point in my life, despite the wish. I made the best choices I could, given the information and understanding I had at the time. Today, I just know more and would make different choices given what I know now. Second paragraph. I never wanted to be the father of a bastard, yet here I am. I never wanted to be married to someone I could not trust, yet here I am. Those two outcomes would be taken care of with one choice. If I were to go back to myself in college, I would change that choice I made at that time. I would not be married. I would not be a father to a bastard. Instead, I would have went with my plan B option and remained a bachelor until my 30s. This is the choice I would make today, given what I know today. I do not regret the choices I made. I regret not taking action to know more prior to making those choices. But this is a fallacy. There is no guarantee that would have been possible anyway, especially when the means of knowing information is dependent upon a person who has a very every incentive to lie to you for their benefit. Things are drastically different today than they were a decade ago. Society has changed rapidly and continues to change without pause. That change, however, doesn't happen nearly as fast as my dreams do. Paragraph 3. My dreams often take on a narrative of their own, frequently changing and intertwining at will like a book of a bunch of short stories that may or may not be connected. The dream I had today, or what I can make of it, can be summed up in one word: legacy. My memory of a dream seems to fade over time. I may be able to remember most of the details if I would record them right after I wake. Here I am 2.5 hours later, and I can barely remember half of the details. I do, however, remember the last parts of it. I was looking for a family friend. In fact, the man I was looking for is much more than a family friend. Sorry, I have to pause there for a second. He was a father figure to me during a point in my life where my household was ruled by chaos. Chaos brewed by my mother. His name was Kevin. In my dream, I was not just looking for him, I was looking for his grave. Paragraph 4. I'm sorry, I had to pause there for a second. Like I said, I haven't read this, so this, I'm gonna try not to. I usually don't get too emotional like this, but like I said, I haven't read this, so to people that think I'm bullshit, like I haven't read this since I've written it, so some of the emotions are kind of coming back to me. I'm actually having to hold back tears and everything because right when I said that, I knew exactly who I was writing about at that time. I said the part when I said I was looking for a family friend. In fact, the man I was looking for is much more than a family friend, and I kind of saw like he was a father figure. Now I knew exactly what I was talking about. He passed away due to cancer. But continuing, paragraph 4. The final details of my dream. I came to the entrance of a commentary, a grand slab of rock that seemed to be over 10 feet tall and 6 feet wide greeted me at the entrance. On this slab was the engraving of a tree with what appeared to be the names of sigils of families buried in the cemetery. Each was drastically different from the other, adorned with a variety of ornaments and sculptures and masks and animals. I could not make out any names. I recall a sense of admiring the grand slab, absorbing the meaning and beauty of it, while also noting that somewhat avaricious nature of, sorry for that, while noting the somewhat avaricious nature of certain families' crest and adornments over others. It was clear the intention as they were made or decorated with that appeared to be gold and rare jewels like ruby, sapphire, and diamond. What a waste, I thought to myself, as these were decorations meant for the dead, not to be admired by many, if any, at all. Not too many people frequent the cemetery. My next thoughts shortly after were, but how beautiful. I love to admire the beauty of nature and the artwork of others, no matter how trivial they may be. In some way, it makes it that much more worth it to me. Paragraph 5. Like how someone feels when they get exclusive access to something in life: VIP at a club, backstage pass to a concert or venue, or joining a secret club. The admiration of the beautiful beauty of trivial things gives me a sense of witnessing something exclusive, something not meant for anyone else. It makes it that much more beautiful. Perhaps this is why I struggle taking video and pictures to record my life achievements and events. I am trying to change that. I would like mementos, other than my memories of it. No telling if that will withstand time, either. My grandfather passed from Alzheimer's. I'm talking about my memories. Side note. I mourned for him. in life and passing. Having your memories and thoughts taken from you is a horrid way to go. Slowly fade into nothing. Not even a shell, but a shadow of yourself or who you were. I still mourn for him. He deserved better. Paragraph 6. Typing this made me realize that my thoughts may have suffered the same fate as the mementos I mentioned. I do not record them often, if ever. This may explain why I have taken a liking to making YouTube videos. I can freely record my thoughts and post them for the world to see. A record of something, no matter how messy or dark they may seem. I have always known there was a bit of dark beauty to them, but even now, as I as I shed a few tears, I feel no regret. I still admire the beauty of it all, how feeble life can be, and why I cherish every moment so much. That is good. That I love. It is for that reason, and maybe that reason alone, that I know I am not crazy or psychotic. I hope for better in life and after. I hope that I can remember it all. The only thing I fear more than dying is the fear of not remembering living at all. Conclusion. At least living in fear of the shadow of death, I may still admire the many beauties of life. I fear what comes after death, the fear of not being able to remember it all, fading into nothing. What a pity. I guess that is what makes legacy so important. The living admiring the life of the death and gone, of the dead and gone. I couldn't find Kevin's grave in my dream. I will make plans to visit it soon, to remember. And that's where the journal ends. First journal entry. Recorded, written Thursday, January 27th, 2022. So that's where my mind was at the time. And current me is looking back on past me that wrote this. And I'm actually admiring my own writing. I'm like, wow, that was actually poorly read by my part. I mean, I probably could have recorded it better, snipped it here and there, but poorly read in my part. I messed up here and there a few times, but aside from that, um, fairly well written. I understood exactly what I was going for. I actually slightly got images of that dream I was talking about. It was like that large slab. If you ever have seen Full Metal Alchemist, the Gate of Truth is probably the closest thing that I can kind of relate to how that slab looked to me, or how I'm kind of picturing it. You kind of see like the Gate of Truth where it's like branches and stuff on and everybody's Gate of Truth is different. But that's the closest thing, like that large slab. But just imagine the Gate of Truth. If you go look up Full Metal Alchemist, the Gate of Truth, it'll kind of show you it probably stills of the Elric brothers while they're out, in front of their gates of truth during the show or whatever. But and I think that's on Brotherhood specifically because I think the other Full Metal Alchemist, the American version, um, it doesn't show it too much, and Edward actually dies in that one, versus Edward just losing his abilities in the Brotherhood one, which is based off the manga. I've always liked that. That's always been one of my favorite animes. Um, yeah, very well crafted. I will say that the storytelling, the characters, all of that. It's got enough grit to it, you know. So yeah, that's one of my favorites. Full Metal Alchemist. I could probably say it is my favorite, to be honest, because yeah. So that was the journal entry, and from that, that dream kind of sparked something. For one, it sparked me wanting to do these journals. Um, the journal was also a good kind of representative to kind of see where my mind was at the time, all the shit I was going through. Recording some of the minor incidents with my spouse and whatnot, and it kept me rooted. It kept me rooted because, like right now, I can kind of go back and read my thoughts, what I was going through. I can remember. Like I don't remember that dream, but now I kind of remember that dream, having that dream. Like I wasn't thinking of that dream prior to reading this, and then reading this kind of sparked my memory, and I was remembering the dream as I'm reading it. I'm like, oh wow, I kind of do remember that dream, and yeah, and how that still kind of stuck with me, and that thing, just like I wrote, summed up was legacy, because that's kind of like what you think of when you're looking at something like that. I didn't even think of the gate of truth like that, even though that's actually what the slab kind of looked like to me, was the gate of truth. But um, it was more so just legacy, like looking at all the family crest and stuff, and it kind of looked like a family tree branch if you want to think about it, kind of like that. But yeah, it just made you think of legacy, and that's what I got from that dream, and that eventually did lead to me making my choice. That choice being, of course, um, me and my spouse separating. Even though technically she had already left the relationship, she was just there, in body, but she had already mentally and everything checked out. I just went ahead and pulled the plug officially, but she had already checked out. So it was a fait accompli, to be honest, because eventually, like typical female strategy, if once she would have found another guy, she would have monkey branched to him, and then she would have left me eventually. So it's you know it's, I, it's nothing new to me. Like I already knew why she was there. She wasn't there specifically because she wanted to help build anything. She was just there because she hadn't found nothing better yet, or what, she hadn't found something that seemed to be better yet. So I don't know, but that's kind of what it was at the time. So I took it upon myself to write these journals to, in a way, freeze not just my thoughts and everything, but also my emotions. Because I did have like as I was reading this, I was starting to feel those emotions, and I kind of did talk about how my memory works. It's very intertwined um, with that emotional part, which is why I kind of, that's that feminine side. Of course, we all have masculine, and feminine side, and that's kind of that feminine side where I see the importance and I see the benefit of having that type of thing where it's like your emotions are strongly tied to your memories and in that kind of way, because I can see how that actually does and can help in that regard, because you might not be able to remember everything, but you remember how you felt and there was a reason for that. So yeah, especially someone like myself where it's like I don't just get mad or upset over just any little thing. I assess things fairly thoroughly, like surprisingly thoroughly. I assess things. Like I don't just get mad. Like someone can call me a name and I'm like, okay, something must have happened to them at home. Like I don't just get mad over any little thing, you know? So that's why it's like if there's a memory where it's like I was livid, I mean I was completely like off my rocker, just fucking insane angry. I know there was a reason for that. That type of deal. So that's the good thing about that. I might not necessarily remember every little thing that led up to that, but I was like, okay, yeah, I specifically remember feeling a certain type of way with this memory. So just like when I was reading this, um, it really did make me think of legacy. It made me think about the decision that I would eventually have to make. Um, actually, the following year, because this is 2022, so I was already kind of like gauging like where our relationship was going at that time. Um, and then eventually 2023, I want to say around February, March, that's when, we sat down, had that talk, and then it was like, okay, yeah, officially, this is over. So that type talk. So yeah, even then I was, now mind you, at this point when I'm writing this, I was still actively trying to fix things. Unfortunately alone. When I say alone, I mean I was trying to fix things. My spouse didn't really give a shit, to be honest. But I was I was trying to fix things because I saw how things had just went downhill and weren't right. Um, she was trying to start arguments and fights every fucking day. And that's another thing, when you notice that your woman doing that type of thing, that's a big red flag to me. When a female's always trying to pick fights over every little thing. Um, yeah, that's we're past the childish type things. Like when she's 20, 21, okay, there's a reason she does that then, because she, for whatever reason, they find that cute and the makeup sex and all that shit's fun to them. But when it's like she's in her 30s and she's doing that shit, there's a deeper meaning to that. And contempt is a real thing, no matter if you haven't done anyone wrong. I made a broadcast on that prior. Yeah, someone can hold contempt for you and you've literally done nothing wrong to them. That's just, there are ways, alternative ways to get to that point of contempt. So you kind of have to understand that. Of course, that relies on them as an individual and how they think and how they think towards you, or however it is you fit in your life. But yeah, you can actually help someone and then they actually hate you because you helped them. So that, once I learned that, it made it easier in the long run. I think I'd probably do talk about that in one of these other journal entries. I'm starting to see some of these. I'm like, oh wow, happy 4th of July. That's an interesting one. It's written as JU-LIE, like lie. So happy 4th of July. So I'm like, I'm looking forward to that one. But that's like journal entry number 10. So it's gonna take me a little minute to get there. One of these actually has a. Oh, I guess I must have edited it later. But yeah, some of these journal entries, I'm actually like very interested in like getting to some of these. So I actually look forward to going through some of these journal entries. It's amazing how, just this first one alone, I was like, oh wow, I didn't even know. I almost skipped over it because I was like, wait a second, there's another. This one's. I thought it was like the title to the journal, because the next one is titled JE128, but I think that was just because I was putting January 28th. So I thought that was journal entry one, but then I was looked above it and I was like, wait a second, there's this, and I was like, oh, this one predates that one. So um, that first one was actually very interesting. Very much so. It brought back some memories, some thoughts, and from that, I still agree. I to be honest, like I made the best decisions that I could given the information and whatnot I knew at the time. That was actually very accurate. Like I'm actually surprised that I wrote that at the time. It shows the level of maturity I had, which obviously this is only 2 years younger me, so which was actually 29-year-old me, but so pre 30-year-old me, that's how I thought. That's how I've always thought. So it kind of shows like, oh wow, even before I learned what I learned now, I was still very mature, still very understanding. So that's why like I have no regrets. Like with all the stuff that's happened the last 3-4 years, like I have no regrets because I've gone over everything. I've double triple checked. I've just the thought process here is like I don't regret my choices because I made the best choices that I could at the time, given the information I know. Like if someone's gonna lie to me and tell me a lie, and I make a choice, I work off of the intel that they gave me. I mean, I made the best decision that I could, given the information I was given. Of course, that's someone being someone that I was supposed to be living my life with, i.e., a spouse or something like that. Someone of significance in your life, of course. I don't just take information from just anybody, but I'm talking about somebody of significance that actually has investment in me, in us, that type of deal. So that's why I was like, I made the best choices based off of the information I was given. I absolutely did. I did not know everything. I did not claim to know everything. All I say, like just like I stated it in this thing, that I absolutely will state it like that. Not I would make different choices now. So if current me was there, of course, just like I stated in this journal entry, I would make different decisions because I know more. But at the time, I made the best decision that I could given the information that I knew at the time. So that's why, like, when I put that in there, I do not regret the choices I made. And I'm quoting, quote, I do not regret the choices I made. I regret not taking action to know more prior to making those choices. But this is a fallacy. So, of course, end quote. I talked about the fallacy of that, when you get bad information from people that are supposed to be one either your elders or um your spouse, lying to you and telling you certain things that didn't happen. When you have people like that, you're gonna make you're gonna take action, you're gonna do things, you're gonna make choices based off of that, because you don't know everything at the time. You Of course you can go back, you sort through things. I could have put a little more effort into this and that, but let's just be real. I'm not perfect. I've never claimed to be perfect. No one's gonna be fucking perfect. So that's why I'm like, okay, yeah, I could have done this, and I do admit that. Yeah, that I could have done a little more research at the time, but at the time, I was already geared towards building mode. I was already working, and I was like, okay, full steam ahead, blam. My spouse was there. She was, for the most part, playing her part and seemed to be on board and everything. And I'm like, all right, cool, full steam ahead. And I'm just blasting ahead, full steam. And apparently she wasn't as on board as I thought she was. And that's when, things kind of went off the rail. So I kind of summarized that. I don't know if I said it in one of these journals, but I kind of summarized it. It's not that I changed, because I did do a prior broadcast. It's not that I changed. No, I learned more, and you make different choices knowing that you know something. It's like you tie your shoe a certain way, and then you learn a better way of tying your shoe. Now you change your shoe differently. I still tie my shoe. I'm still the same person. I still want the same things out of life. I still believe, for the most part, the same things. It's just now I make a slightly different alteration on the way I do things because I found a better way. So that's kind of where I was. So I didn't change as a person, which and the only reason I'm saying that is because when I say what I'm about to say, some people are going to be like, "Oh, you changed, you're different." Like, no, I didn't change as a person. I absolutely didn't. When we decided to do this, we decided to get in this relationship, we decided to get married and all that stuff. There was a contract, there was an agreement, and the way I summarized what happened was we had an agreement, and then then after so imagine you sign that contract for that agreement. And then after you sign the contract, kind of like the Megan Thee Stallion thing where she signed a bad contract, now she wants to get out of it. After you sign that contract, now you're trying to go back and change the terms of the contract when you already signed the contract and agreed upon it. And when I say agreed upon it, I don't mean like they just came to you one time, hey, this is the contract, are you cool with it? No, I'm talking about they gave you the contract 3 or 4 months in advance, gave you the rundown 3 or 4 times prior to that. You had plenty of time to go get a lawyer, other folks to look at it, all that. So when it comes to signing day, you come to the table and you say, I absolutely agree. And then all of a sudden, after you agree and decisions are being made, money's being moved and all that stuff. Now, all of a sudden, after that, then you want to go and change the terms of the contract. That's how it was in my situation. It wasn't I didn't see anything, I didn't know anything. No, it was absolutely like, we agreed upon something and someone changed the agreement. That's exactly how it was. That's exactly how it happened. And that's the best way I can summarize it. So there was that. Now, I gotta get up out of here. It is actually fairly late, early in the morning, technically. I haven't gone to sleep, so technically it's morning time, but it's nighttime to me. So I will end on that note. Forgot to play background music. I won't say that. But this has been journal entry number 1 of Star-Crossed Lovers. I absolutely enjoyed it. Oh wow, it was amazing because I did not expect that with that journal entry. So I'm actually glad I was able to read that. It brought back a lot to me. That's for sure. But Star-Crossed Lovers, thank you for listening. Look forward to more. Of course, like I said, this was recorded on March 1st, 2024. This won't post until after the divorce. So I look forward to hearing this come out. Thanks for listening, Star-Crossed Lovers. Till next time, folks.